Good morning, everyone. Hello, and thank you all for being here this morning at this breakfast plenary. I'm really looking forward to today's sessions. I don't know what you guys thought, but yesterday was completely amazing. And have you drank your water this morning? If not, take a big old drink, especially after enjoying the night out with colleagues last night. I'm Cheryl Zimlich, board member and executive director of Bohemian Foundation, based in Fort Collins, Colorado, just a little bit north of here. We are a family foundation that works to empower citizens and impact communities through our grant-making and special initiatives in community, music, global, and civic programs. Our focus is on building communities, and one way we strengthen the connections in our community is by providing avenues and resources to create and enjoy music. Today, I'm pleased to introduce to you one of the most important and acclaimed artists from our Fort Collins, Northern Colorado community, Cary Morin. Cary is an international, yes, please go ahead. Cary is an internationally renowned singer-songwriter and fingerstyle guitarist. His acoustic style has been described as Native Americana with elements of blues, jazz, jam, bluegrass, and other rock genres. Cary is a Crow tribal member and began his musical career in Northern Colorado, launching the band The Atoll, which toured nationally. Later, he achieved international acclaim with the Pure Fave Trio and the single Old Midlife Crisis that Cary wrote and performed with the band, and it achieved number 17 on France's iTunes Blues chart. Bohemian Foundation has been honored to support Cary over the last 2 decades. He's such an essential part of our music ecosystem that his likeness adorns a mural in Jazz Alley with many musicians who have made Fort Collins the great music city it is. We are in good company among the people and organizations who have recognized Cary for his outstanding artistic career. His 2017 release, Cradle to Grave, has received numerous awards and recognition, including the 2017 Indigenous Music Award for Best Blues CD, the 2018 Independent Music Awards, also for Best Blues CD. He was awarded a Native Arts and Cultures Fellowship in 2018 and a First Peoples Fund Artists and Business Leadership Fellowship in 2017. He won the Colorado Fan Favorite Poll in the blues category for his second solo release, Streamline. Cary is currently working on a project that is a new album recorded in Louisiana. It is a cultural project to reunite Cary with his as a native performer and with his ancestral roots in the South by collaborating with Creole and Cajun artists. These are just a few of the many accolades that Cary has received over the years. But the best proof of Cary's talent and impact can only come from Cary himself. Please welcome to the stage, Cary Morin.
Good morning. Welcome to Colorado. Welcome to Denver. Well, it's very nice to see you all here today. I bumped into people that I met at other conferences already. I've only been here for a couple of hours, so you folks really get around, don't you? Well, thank you for that wonderful introduction. That doesn't really leave me much to talk about. I can tell you that I am from this area. I grew up almost always in view of the mountains. I grew up in Montana. I graduated from high school in 1981, and about 10 minutes later I moved down in this direction. And my intention was to start a career in the arts, but I was really focused on visual arts. Once I got to Colorado, I started playing music, and I've never stopped since then. I've been based out of Fort Collins ever since, and been traveling around, but always had a place to be in Fort Collins. One of the first grant-based projects that I collaborated with some friends on in Fort Collins was a play that I co-wrote called Turtle Island. And it was basically a story of a young native girl, and it was sort of the native version of Cinderella. And I co-wrote the play and wrote all the music for it, and that project was funded by Bohemian, one of the first things. So thank you very much for that. After that, I was very honored to be able to participate in other artists' grant-funded projects, and I think that with the help and the assistance from those grants, there was a lot of music that I was involved in that was exposed all over the world, and I don't think that music would have existed without the assistance that we got in putting those projects together. One of note was a collaboration with the Kodo drummers in Japan, and that was one of my first international trips, and a thrill, and sort of set the stage for what I was going to be doing for the rest of my career. Little did I know at the time, but I'm very hopeful for the assistance that grant funding can provide to younger performers as I look back on my career. And I'm hopeful that younger performers will find a place on a stage or in a studio or visual arts or writing that would be a long-lasting impact on them and people around the world. When I was about, I think, 4 years old, we lived in Billings, Montana when I was a child. There was a ceremony that the Crow Indian people do for their children when they're born, and it's called a naming ceremony. What happens is the family will ask a elder in the family to recount a story from their life, and from that story, hopefully the child can take that story with them throughout their lives and get strength from it and rely on it. Our people in Montana refer to themselves in the Crow language as Abzaloge. Abzaloge means children of the long-beaked bird, and we're proud to have ancestral land just outside of Billings, Montana, and the area that my family is from is called by the Crow people the Valley of the Chiefs. My naming ceremony took place in about 1965 or so. My memory's a little fuzzy back in those days. But my mother asked her grandmother, my great-grandmother, to name me. And at the time, she was, I think, 106 years old. I was maybe four years old. And she thought about it, and she recounted a story from her childhood. She told the story about when she was a teenager, her and a couple of her friends were out picking berries, and they wandered a little far from the village, and they were happened upon by some warriors from a neighboring tribe. And these warriors kidnapped those young girls and took them by horseback to the east. It was, I think, 2 days into this trip by horseback that my grandmother and her friends, or my great-grandmother, sorry, and her friends figured out a way to break free from these 5 warriors, and they actually somehow killed all these guys and took their horses and rode back home to the Valley of the Chiefs. So she named me after that event in her life, and it was her intent to give me that story to let me know that there really are no obstacles in your lifetime that cannot be overcome. And so years later, I asked my mother if she thought it would be all right if I wrote a song about that and my naming ceremony. So I did. Grandmother now, my 16th year I played with friends on the prairie. If progress would allow, we live forever in the Valley of the Chiefs. Trail in the heat of the day, horses approaching, I thought I heard 5 men appeared and they took us away. We are the children of the long big bird. Traveling as captives into the night, taken far from the valley. No tears would cry towards the eastern light, because 5 men would die. raptors slept and the night watched too. 5 men surprised when we counted cool. We took their horses into the night, back to the valley of